Welcome to the F Around and Find Out Era Agent. The assistant director is experimenting on a different topic away from the drama. Fafo is an era where Trump voters not realizing the consequences of voting. Slowly they've realized that voting for Trump is irreversible and the ramifications for voting against their interests. The mission is straightforward. Investigate this new era and learn the consequences of voting the wrong politician. Dismissed, and may your pen guide you to the truth.
Welcome to the lounge. My name is Shadow and I have a story to tell. I'm not into politics. I troll on these political sites, just to watch the liberals and MAGAs go at it. I pose as an asshole who is a bit prejudiced, and I set about my tasks poking fun at Trump voters. Well, for those who don't care about politics, but love the drama behind the comment section, here's the story so far. Kamala Harris lost the election to Donald Trump, making him the 47th president of the United States. A lot of people who are liberal or hated Trump during his first term isn't happy that the public will have to spend another 4 years going to social media to see what the hell he's doing while having a morning Newport and coffee. Trump has plans which in his mind will make America great again. You know, back to Jim Crow era. He has one of few major plans that will throw this country in chaos, one of which is tariffs. Not many of us took an economics course, but tariffs ain't funny, especially if it's imposed from a country that manufactures products. Those prices of eggs that the public complained about? Right now, the average price of a dozen medium eggs is $3. Your state may vary. If soon-to-be President Trump imposes a tariff on China, that $3 eggs will become $4 or $5. Not good for those working 9 to 5, especially farmers who are struggling in keeping chickens from having avian influenza. That's bird flu for those who aren't into virology. These Trump tariffs will also affect Canada and Mexico. It doesn't end with automotives. It affects electronics and leather as well. If you haven't brought a PS5, now might be a good time to get them and expect a price of Jordans to be equivalent to your paycheck. And don't get me started on toilet paper. Long story short, everyone's wallets will burn a hole next year, and no future Christmas bonuses, assuming that Trump will double down on it. Another thing the Trump administration will try to gut is women's rights, the right to bodily autonomy. Some anti-abortionists, particularly men, who have no right to dictate how women should take care of themselves. They're ignorant at the fact that if women would stop opening their legs to every man with a pulse, they wouldn't have to worry about having kids. That argument is a two-way street. On one hand, yes, women need to stop giving it up to unworthy men. However, on the other side, there's this crime. And for some reason, social media platforms don't like people using that word too much. So to avoid being censored, we'll call that crime breaking and entering. Women have no choice nor say in the matter if they're forced into that sick act. And what's worse is that even if breaking and entering isn't the cause of an unwanted pregnancy, there is also complications of childbirth, and abortion is the last resort. I wasn't trained in the field of OB and gynecology. I was trained in phlebotomy, but I hear sepsis is really dangerous. Luckily, that ban is up to the state to decide, for now. Another plan is the disband of certain departments. The Department of Education is one of them. We already have morons in the country. We don't need any more. Honestly, TSA should be one of them. As for the people who voted for Trump, safe to say they celebrated, but not like the celebration when Biden won. And it was short-lived. Remember those tariffs? Well, there was a record surge on Google on what a tariff is. Even learned that Obamacare is actually the Affordable Care Act. See, dismantling the Department of Education is a bad idea. They just basically voted against their own health.
The news of Trump returning to office sent shockwaves. Trump voters are losing some family, friends, and relationships over it. To MAGAs, it's overreacting in politics, but to those, it's morality. No one wants to be around someone who thinks a woman's role is the kitchen and the bedroom. No one wants to be around people who thinks being transgender is an abomination, despite the fact they're not the ones changing their hormones. And don't get me started with same-sex marriages. No one really cares if Tyrone wants to marry Jamal. Speaking of Tyrone and Jamal, there are minorities who voted for Trump, but they too are going to feel the burn. My people who voted for Trump are going to remind them that us getting out of slavery wasn't in their playbook. Latinos for Trump are going to get it the worst. There's a plan to mass deport a lot of migrants regardless if they're a U.S. citizen or not. And without migrants, there won't be anyone to tend the fields. which means sales are going to skyrocket. And with today's generation, no one will be caught dead working in the fields in high temperatures and being on their feet for 8 hours, let alone cleaning toilets and buildings. It may sound like modern-day slavery, but to those migrants, it's just food on tonight's table. The Palestinians are not safe from the wrath of Project 2025. In Dearborn, Michigan, they hope that if Trump becomes president, he'll put an end to the conflict in the Middle East. Well, that's not going to happen. Palestine, if Trump follows through on his promises, Palestine is going to become a glorified parking lot. The people who voted for Trump isn't happy that my sisters ain't feeling remorse. Well, they tried to warn y'all. Kamala Harris warned y'all. Trump made it very clear what he and his administration is going to do. But because of the price of eggs, they rather be sleeping on the streets than let some light-skinned woman sit in the Oval Office. Sadly, it will be decades when a woman sits in the Oval Office. As for us, we'll survive. We've been there and done that, and we're tired of being Captain Planet. So they got till the midterms to fix their mistakes. The news of these promising actions, particularly women's rights, sparked a movement known as the 4B. 4B is a movement which originated from South Korea after a woman was murdered because of a guy who can't take the hint. The movement goes by the 4 tenets: no sex, no dating, no marriage, and kids. American women started to pick up on that, and it became a trend. There's one more problem that will arise when Trump takes his second oath to office. His administration is planning on getting rid of the National Labor Relations Act. This important act was created in 1935 by the Roosevelt administration. This act helps union workers from having bargaining rights, to protecting union workers from retaliation or getting fired for doing the right thing. If that's gone, no more strikes, no more unionizing, no more negotiations, and probably no more whistleblowers.
So here's the sit rep. Trump is in office again. The price of everything is going to go up. Minorities who voted for Trump are reminded that they'll never sit at the table. Migrants are going to be deported whether they're law-abiding or not. Palestinians are skating on thin ice as they're inches from not having a country. These new generations of women are going to have a brutal lesson on why Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. And for the men, if they voted for Trump, they're going to be in the doghouse for a long time, because women joining the 4B movement is going to lock up their walls. So what are you, who didn't vote for Trump, are going to do about it? For one, tough it out and hope the checks and balances still work. The midterms are 2 years away. Better hope the Senate and Congress flips blue. And luckily, this is Trump's final term as president, since no president can serve 3 terms. But knowing him and his patterns, he's going to try. January 6th proves that. This is what happens when you vote with your emotions and not with intelligence. And they're going to suffer for that. Sadly, even those who aren't racists, bigots, or dumbasses will suffer as well. Our society needs to do better. We need to get with the times. Other countries already have female leaders and high-speed rail. The United States isn't the greatest country in the world if they are still stuck in the 1910s or can't accept the fact that there's more than one skin color. We need to do better both socially and politically. Hopefully this mistake doesn't repeat itself. This is Shadow signing off, and if you see something, write something.
Good work, Agent. Sadly, in the next 4 years, we're gonna have a rough ride. But we've been through worse situations. Hopefully this will be the last time the U.S. does anything this reckless because a woman wants to become president. Thank you for visiting Shadow Storyteller. If you like what you saw, hit the like and bell to catch up. Until